How's it going, everyone? Vic and Carl here. We're doing a little special edition of our podcast tonight. Welcome to the Windy City Digits podcast, where we talk all Chicago sports. If you haven't had a chance yet, hit that subscribe button down below. We'd really appreciate it. We'd also like you to hit the like button on the video, and then also hit the notification bell so you are made aware of when we have new uploads like this one. So, Vic, today we're going to talk about really quick the new Bears hires, the GM, and the head coach. Let's start with the GM. Let's go with Ryan Poles out of the Kansas City organization. Big part of their drafts and building that team. Seems to come very highly praised from around the league. Very well endorsed. Not really a lot of people criticizing this move. What do you think?
No, I agree. I haven't heard much of anything, honestly. I think they were looking for someone who could evaluate talent, and I think having him in there with the success Kansas City has had is a good start. We'll see, because I think he's going to try and hire an assistant GM too, which hopefully will help him as well. It'll be like a step towards restructuring that the Bears didn't have. I don't know if Ryan Pace had an assistant GM. Do you? I don't think he did.
I'm not aware of anyone, because a lot of it was just Pace talking all the time, and a lot of that was on Pace.
Pace Picanti.
Yeah, look, I think this is so far what I've heard or what I've read as far as him, like him going back to McCaskey and saying, like, look, it's in my contract. I'm making the decision on the head coach.
I love that. I love seeing that.
Yeah, I think that shows.
I heard Polian was pissed.
And that's fine, right? I mean,
yeah.
You know what? You want a general manager to come in there and he knows what he wants. You know, like he was willing to give up the opportunity. If it didn't happen this time, I'm sure he knew it was going to come soon, but he obviously came in and he had an idea of how he wants to run things. I think the good thing is that he's young, and
I agree. And he could put the energy into it.
And he's going to use some of the analytics stuff. It sounds like he's going to surround himself with people that know what they're doing. And the other part of it, it just sounds like he's the type of guy that's going to build it from the ground up.
And he's the 13th general manager in Chicago Bears history.
Correct. So 13
Number
is
13?
the digit we're looking at for the 13th general manager. We tried to look it up as far as famous Bears players that wore the number 13, and we couldn't come up with anything.
No, only 5 Bears players have ever worn the number, so any newcomer should wear that number.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, so if anyone's got any comments or has any favorite number 13 Bears players, put in the comments below.
There won't be any.
There's only 5. There's only 5 of them that have ever worn the number. So, it sounds like it's a good hire. But again, this is not a thing where we're going to know in a year. We're not going to know probably for 2 years. So this year, I don't know if I'm assuming most Bears fans are probably going to give him a pass for the first year. I don't know. He does have a lot of work to do with this roster. A lot of tough decisions to make. I'm curious of what he's going to do with the offense. Like, what's he going to do with A-Rob? Is he going to keep him? Is he not? What does he do with the offensive line?
Well, A-Rob was not talking very highly in a podcast. Who was it with? Brown? I can't remember. Talking about how Nagy blew him off, too, for an end-of-the-year meeting as well, kind of like how we talked about Trubisky.
Yeah, so. You know what? It just sounds like a lot of Bears players like playing for the Bears. They like the city. They like the fans. It was just the whole Pace and Nagy thing.
Yeah,
that kind of messed the whole thing up.
So the GM obviously is an extremely important role for the Bears in terms of getting the right personnel for their coach. So then we talk about the head coach. And he's the number 17th head coach in Bears history?
Correct. That's correct.
All right. So do you know any Bears players that had 17? Can you recall that?
The only one that's on the top of my head is Alshon Jeffrey.
Amen, man. He was awesome. Here's our new coach. Little Matt
Eberflus.
Is that how you say it?
Yeah, and to be honest, like I knew, like the only thing I really know about him is that the Colts defense was pretty good the last couple of years.
Yes.
When their offense wasn't that great. But honestly, I thought out of the three coaches that were the finalists between Caldwell, Eberflus, and Quinn, I honestly thought that I knew the least. I knew the least about Eberflus.
Yeah, and I thought he would go with Quinn.
Yeah, and then Quinn decided that he wanted to go back to the Cowboys.
Yeah. So do you want to know a little bit about the Colts defense? Okay. So they're the top 10 scoring 3 of the last 4 seasons. Top 10 in points against them. Top 10 takeaways every season for the last 4 seasons.
Yeah.
And second in the NFL in takeaways this year. Pretty good.
Okay. So, yeah, that's great. So here's the question I have, right? Because of what we saw with Nagy the last 4 years, right? Being an offensive coordinator and wanting to be so involved on the offense. Would you rather have Eberflus be more of a manager, like basically leave stuff up to his coordinators and let them run the offense and defense and special teams and him really literally coaching everybody? Or would you rather have him be more hands-on with the defense, kind of develop it like the way he has with the Colts and when he was in Dallas, and then kind of like how it was with Nagy, like more of a hands-on the defensive side and then let the offensive coordinator do his thing?
No, he needs to be a collaborate with those coaches and then let them do their thing. And he can, be the game manager, and he can decide when there's going to be timeouts, when there's those key decisions to go for it on 4th down or whatnot. But no, I mean, you're hiring those guys for their specialty. And I think that's really important, especially with him being the defensive coach. He's going to have to hire someone on the offensive side that's going to be able to tailor their offense to, to Justin Fields and what we have.
Correct.
So here's some other guys that he's bringing over, by the way. So Barganzi, don't know him very well, but he's a linebackers coach. He's also bringing the cornerbacks coach James Rowe from the Colts. I know a lot of the Colts players were talking very, very highly of those guys. And then this one, I don't know if you see the quote from Ian Rappaport, Luke Getsy.
Yep, from the Green Bay.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'd be happy about that. And then there's also the report about Pep Hamilton. So I think those are the key guys that we're talking about right now.
So, on a side note, right?
Stop.
Do you think if we were able to get the guy from Green Bay, Getsy, right? Do you think that's really like the sign, like the first initial signs of like a mass exodus, and Green Bay is really going to start going to a rebuild?
Yeah, the cheese is getting moldy finally, man.
Like, do you think that's like kind of the direction? Like everybody starts to see the writing on the wall, if everyone knew.
From what I heard, Getsy is not going to be really the main play caller in Green Bay, period. LaFleur is not going to give that up anyway, so this would be a step up for him.
Yeah, and he wants that opportunity, right?
Who wouldn't see that? I mean, I think if you wanted a better opportunity to go to a team that's winning, I don't think you're going to really stick with the Packers, who probably are going to end up rebuilding, and wait for that to get back up. I don't know. Unless you've had a lot of years there.
And on a side note, people are starting to pick up on my prediction that I made last week, where if Brady retires, Rodgers is going to Tampa Bay. So people are starting to pick up on that. So whatever date that was, I'm going to save that recording and we're going to play it back over and over and over again.
Save
just
that
to
recording?
kind of prove that point. Yeah. So
we don't take any recordings off YouTube, you nitwit.
So listen, the other part.
Look, Bears logo on the back.
I know. Man. I got the Bulls. Like I don't know what I'm doing.
Well,
right
I got
now.
the Cubs bed behind me. It's always going to be up there. So
you and I talk a lot about the after games and some of the frustrations we have with some of the players or whatever. Right. Obviously, Justin Fields is your building block that you have, right? That's your main thing. What do you think like are the next key pieces, outside of the coordinators and coaches and stuff like that? But from a roster standpoint, like what do you think is more important for us right now? Like, do we need to get an offensive line, really shore up the offensive line? Do we need to get some possession receivers? Do we need to get a tight end in there?
Yes.
All yes to all the above.
Yeah, cornerback too. Yes. Oh, those are the positions. Okay. Offensive line, cornerback, and they need a top end wide receiver, or they keep A-Rob. I'm not sure. Was it just misused this year with A-Rob, or he had injuries too. I don't know. They need a top receiver with Mooney. Mooney's a great number 2, and in fact, I don't know why no one says he's a number 1. He acted like a number 1.
Well, it's the whole thing. Like everyone is saying, like it all goes back to Nagy, right? Like he mismanaged the players, he mismanaged the whole offense. He was convinced his offense was going to work, and you heard Foles. Foles would say, like you saw the meme on the side, like this offense isn't going to work. This offense doesn't work, and you've got a guy that was in the Super Bowl, won a Super Bowl, and he's saying basically to everybody on the sideline, like this offense doesn't work. You can only imagine what the whole team thought. But they're getting paid. They got to go out there. They got to play. But they're frustrated. They're upset.
If I were A-Rob, I would want to leave, man. There's too many wide receivers in Chicago that just die in Chicago. Their careers just go flat. Until they get someone like Rodgers, Favre, like if Field develops into that, then maybe we'll draw wide receivers to us. But it's not happening.
Yeah. All right, so for this edition, again, the digits we have for this episode are 13 for the 13th general manager in Bears 17. History, which is Ryan Poles, and 17 for Matt Eberflus, who is the 17th head coach in Bears history. I'm sure we're going to be talking more about this as time goes on, hopefully within the next week or so. I know normally during Super Bowl week, they don't really make a lot of announcements. They try to kind of hold that off. Because they don't want to take away from the Super Bowl, but hopefully before Sunday, before the championship games, maybe they'll have some announcements as far as like coordinators, hopefully a head offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator. So real quick, Vic, before we leave this episode, predictions on this Sunday's games for the NFC, which is the Rams and Niners. And then on the AFC side, it's the Chiefs and the Bengals.
Rams and Chiefs. Yourself? You looking for an upset?
I'm going the opposite way. I would like Niners and Bengals.
All right.
We might have to put a wager on that for pizza or something.
Yeah, you're buying some Chaser's pizza for me if I win it, and if you win it, you can get some Lou's.
Okay. I thought you were going to say Domino's.
Yeah, that's right.
Domino's sent over to the house. All right. So everyone, thanks again for tuning in to this special episode of the podcast. Again, we just talked about all Chicago sports here. If you haven't had a chance yet, hit that subscribe button and the like button. The like button really helps us out. We appreciate everyone watching the video to the end. Also hit that bell for notified for any future episodes. Thanks again, everyone, for tuning in, and we'll see you guys in our next episode.